You're not building a race engine, and you're not building a customer engine that has to, go. No, what you've done is you've picked up a motor from the junkyard, or you picked up one from the swap meet or a buddy, or you've got a driver type of car, street and strip type of car, whatever it happens to be, classic, and you just want to freshen the thing up. You want to put rings, bearings, gaskets, seals, pumps, and then basically just refresh the thing so it goes back out on the road. You're who we're talking to with this video, because we're going to get a bunch of people in there. Oh, just bore it. Oh, just put 60 over pistons in it. Just do this. Doesn't apply across the board. A lot of times those parts are already available. You're doing a 1958 Studebaker, right? You can't just call a piston manufacturer and have something affordable off the shelf. You're spending $1,200 on a set of pistons. It's not always necessary. Sometimes you just want to freshen your engine up. And so that's what we're doing here. I want to show you on a typical piston and rod assembly, because this is really, inside of an engine, there's really only two main areas where you're going to have a problem. The cylinder bores, and we've already talked about cylinder bores and blocks and everything else. But mostly it's going to be in the piston and rod assembly. And what do we look for? If we're going to reuse a piston and rod assembly, what do we look for? What are the liabilities? How do you know that this thing is good to go back in the motor with fresh rings and bearings and ready to hit the road? That's what we're going to go after. But before I do that, I have to go back to two previous videos. I know a lot of you people are like, oh, just ignore the comments. There's know-it-alls out there, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know, I can just ignore the comments, but those know-it-alls still spread information through the comments. So people who are trying to learn will read through their wisdoms and say, oh, well, yeah, well, maybe that or maybe that. So that's why I have to go back and cover some comments. The first one is when we painted this block a couple of videos ago. I showed that heating the surface of the block with the torch burned off a lot of the impurities. Within an hour of the video, there were already people commenting, oh, a lot of that is from the torch. It's condensation from the torch, or it's soot from the torch, or whatever. Okay, I specifically, when we did that video, go back and watch it. I specifically hit an area of the block with the torch, showed it dried up, and then I stopped so that you could see that the rest of the block was dark and discolored. It was holding moisture, dirt, whatever happened to be in there. And only the area that I hit with the torch was that gray, bare cast. So I mean, in spite of, and like I said, I specifically showed that so that people wouldn't say, oh, well, it's from the torch or anything. But it doesn't make any difference. These people got in their mind that it's the torch. And no, go back and watch the video. The whole block is that dark, dampish color, except for the one spot that I hit with the flame. And then you see, after we show that, then I go back and you can see the moisture moving away from wherever the torch happens to be. So no, the torch did not cause moisture in the block. All right. The other thing was yesterday we posted that video, the discussion with David Vizard and Andy Wood, about rod ratio and connecting and all of those different things. And several people jumped into the comments and they said the same thing. Smokey Unick said put the longest rod in you can, and that's good enough for me and it should be good enough for you. Well, you're a freaking idiot, because Smokey Unick dealt with high RPM circle track motors. Smokey Unick dealt with engines that live at 7,000 RPM. He's not talking about drag engines. Smokey Unick never even considered drag racing. I don't even think he knew it existed. Smokey Unick dealt with high RPM engines. And especially he dealt with Chevys, which have a short rod ratio to begin with. So in the context of a Chevy, in the context of a consistent high RPM engine, yes, absolutely, stick the longest friggin' rod you can in there. Because even the longest rod you could put in that motor is still shorter than you could put, let's say, in a big block Mopar. So yeah, Smokey Unick, longest rod possible. I know, I read Smokey Unick's Power Secrets when I was like 14, 10 times. I memorized every dash and dot and comma in it, trust me. Apples and oranges. All right, so I got that out of the way. I get a little wrapped up with this stuff, right? Okay, so we've got our engine, our swap meet, or a junkyard, or just the motor out of our car, and we want to freshen this thing up. Is this piston and rod assembly, or any of them for that matter, worthy of going back in? And this is assuming that the cylinders are honable to a maximum of 10 over. There's another bit of debate, right? But if you can hone the cylinders to a maximum of 10 over and get a good even, right, you're good to go with reusing the stock parts. So, your inspection of these parts begins before you even hold them in your hand. Now, a lot of guys, when they go to take a motor apart, the very first thing they'll do is they'll hit it, they'll blow it apart with an air gun or an electric impact or whatever, and it's just taking it apart. And if you're thinking about reusing parts, that's the last thing you want to do. You want to take the engine apart with hand tools, because you want to know right off the bat, especially the rod bolts, you want to know if there's any weirdnesses on the rod bolts. So if you're taking the motor apart, use a ratchet, and take note that they all break at approximately the same amount of torque. If you've got one that breaks very easily, there's a really good chance that that rod bolt is stretched. Rod bolts, in general, are of extremely high quality right off the bat. If you have one, as you're taking the motor apart, you've got one that's loose, right? What you want to do is grab a caliper. I don't have a caliper here someplace. Grab a caliper, pick these things up for like 20 bucks over at Harbor Freight, and just measure all of the rod bolts. You want to make sure, obviously we're going for the bolt, not the nut there. You want to make sure that they're all within just a couple of thousandths of an inch of each other. If you find one or two that's long, replace them. And if you're going to replace one, you might as well replace the whole set. So ARP or any of the rod bolt manufacturers, you know, that's where they make their money. You're never going to see stuff like this on, let's say, a sponsored channel or a corporate channel, because they have to sell parts. They have to sell pistons. They have to sell rod bolts. They have to sell all of these things. I don't have to sell them. I'll tell you how to check when you know you need them. Now, if you're building a hot rod motor and the thing's going to see higher RPM than it was originally designed for, then yes, put a set of like ARPs or other high quality rod bolts in it. But if it's just a regular engine and it's going to stay within the design parameters, meaning that you're not going to rev it past what the factory would consider to be the red line on it, the factory rod bolts are more than strong enough. Just the same, as you take the motor apart, note that if any of them feel looser than the others, and as a good practice, measure each of them. If you have any that are, let's say, 5 or 10 thousandths of an inch longer than the rest, consider them junk, throw a new set in. Now, the big end of the rod is another thing to consider. Your first visual inspection on the big end of the rod should look for any kind of discoloration or bluing in this area right here. Now, you may be taking this thing apart for the first time yourself, but that doesn't mean that this 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old engine hasn't already been rebuilt a time or two. It doesn't mean there's no guarantee that these things didn't see trauma during their life. So look for any type of discoloration or any type of bluing here. If you see that, you know that this rod at some point spun a bearing, was exposed to some kind of trauma, and is definitely questionable. You may want to send it to a machine shop. You want to be able to pull the cap off without much violence. See, now this rod right here is kind of suspect, although it's coming now. I've had these things where the only way you could separate them is by taking, you know, a hammer handle, let's just say, and beating them out. You need to be able to take the cap on and off by hand. That one is a little tight, but I would say that it's probably within the range of okayness, especially since I could just give it a whack and they fall back together again. These surfaces, where the bearing rides, forget about what the bearing looks like. On these surfaces here, you want to be able to see some of the factory crosshatch. When these things are assembled new, they're honed. Well, of course, they're bored first, and they're honed. And when they're honed, it'll leave a crosshatch, just like you find on a cylinder wall. And you want to make sure that that crosshatch is still visible on both the rod and the cap. If you don't see crosshatch there, it means that at one point a bearing spun in it, or the bearing fits loosely enough in there that it's always moving around, and it'll polish out the crosshatch. So you don't have to worry about seeing a perfect crosshatch, but you want to make sure that you can at least see evidence that this thing at one point was machined. Other than that, if when you took this thing apart, the bearing looked okay, the bearing didn't just fall out when you took it apart, you're probably good to go on the bottom end. The piston is where you're going to spend most of your time inspecting things. So your first deal is to give it a quick cleaning. Don't go crazy, making this thing perfect before you've actually looked it over. But by the same token, you can't look over a piston if the surface is covered with carbon and the sides are all gacked up. You need to at least give it a quick cleaning with a wire wheel or on a wire brush, and you won't hurt it. And get it to where you can really see the surfaces. So starting at the obvious things, chips out of the skirts or cracks in the skirts, very common, where you'll find a little piece missing out. Like this here is a factory kind of defect, but you'll find like a little chunk missing out of it, or this part of the skirt will be broken away. If you find that, throw the piston away, find yourself another one. But look over the skirts. If everything looks intact there, then your next problem area you may find is here at the pin. So when a piston cracks at the pin boss, it could be anywhere, but it will generally be a crack like this here or like this here. So, and again, you got to clean these things up so you can eyeball them and see if there's a crack there. But that's the area that you want to look at for cracks on both sides. Now, assuming that everything looks good, like this piston here looks good, you want to make sure that the pin is free. Now, a lot of these engines have a pressed-in pin. This is a pressed pin motor. If your engine is a floating pin motor, your floating pin assembly, then take the snap rings out, slide the pins out, and separate the piston and rod. But if you're just doing this at your house and you just want to freshen this thing up and it's a pressed pin motor, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you can rock the piston and move both sides. See, I'm able to move the rod from left to right. It's a little stiff, but it's also unlubricated. If you got some stiffness there, squirt it down with penetrating fluid. These holes right here are where oil is supposed to get in there to lubricate the pin. So give them a squirt like that. And then work the lube through. And without too much effort, you want to be able to do that. You want to be able to just slide the pin back and forth. That's on the tight side. On the loose side, you want to make sure that hold the rod steady like this and rock the piston back and forth like this and make sure that there's no play here. A lot of times, it's rare to find it like that, but sometimes you'll go like this, you'll give it a hard push, and you'll see that like lube will squeeze out of it, or you get a little space. That means that the fit between the piston and the pin is too loose. At that point, get yourself another piston. All right. The last thing you want to do is check the ring lands. So, take a ring. You want to be mostly concerned with the top ring land because generally speaking, if there's going to be damage, that's where you're going to see it. So give the piston a quick visual, turn it all the way around, right? Make sure you don't see any chips or burn marks or weirdnesses, scuff marks, heavy scratches that run through the rings like this. This one looks good so far. So what you want to do is you want to take a ring, make sure the ring is clean, put it in the ring land, start with the second ring land. The oil ring, you generally nothing ever happens to the oil ring land. But if you're going to find piston damage, you're going to find it here. So take the ring, stick it in the land, and make sure she fits evenly all the way across, just like this. Okay? Now you also want to make sure there's no up and down wear. So this ring should not be able to rock. It should be in there pretty steadily. The top ring is where you're generally going to find your problems. And generally speaking, you're going to find that it's crushed. You'll find that there'll be a tight spot as you rotate the piston holding the ring steady, you'll find that it won't want to go past a certain area without a lot of finagling, right? Or you go to roll the ring like this, and it rolls out of the ringland. At that point, you know that the piston head has been crushed somewhat and is pinching the ring. So again, at that point, you say goodbye to that piston, it's no good. So this one here, we can roll this thing all the way through, just like that, and it's in nice shape. The ring fits perfectly. Now, you can get them to spread. As you know, like I was going to say a boosted engine, or a nitrous engine, you always open up the ring gaps, because if the ring gets too hot, it'll buckle and it'll break the top of the ring. Well, on a regular engine, if you run this thing, let's say, in a consistent state of overheating or pinging or anything like that, it's possible that the ring ends, the gap will close up, the ring will buckle, but not enough to actually break the piston. Instead, what it'll do is it'll spread the ringland. And so that's why you want to make sure you're not getting any rocking or very, very little rocking. Just enough, there should be just enough clearance there so that the ring is able to move, but not enough so that you can take the ring and go like this with it. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you've gone through all of those steps and this assembly looks good, reuse it. It's fine. Hone the motor, throw a fresh set of rings on it, throw a set of bearings in it. There's another thing too. I just saw a video pop up on the recommended, where it was like, the question was, should you put oil between the rod and the bearing? No, I didn't have to watch the video. I just saw the thumbnail. That's the most absurd thing ever. No, never have any liquid or anything, any barrier between the bearing and the rod, right? I don't care what anybody says. Never do that. This has to be dry and clean. There can't be anything in between. All right, so that's it. I mean, this one assembly, the next step with this is I'll do like you have with these and let them soak for a day or two. These things have been in there for about overnight. They're a little grungy looking yet, but let them soak for a day or two and then give them your final cleanup and stick them back in your motor. So that's it. Simple home assembly tips and tricks. You won't find this stuff anyplace else. I hope you got something out of that. I'll see you tomorrow.